As a certified financial planner and retirement advisor for over a decade, I've personally analyzed a lot of retirement plans, from people with modest nest eggs to those with multi-million dollar portfolios. Today, I'm going to tell you what the biggest hurdles are and how to overcome them so you can retire early. Through my experience, I've discovered the best strategies that allowed certain retirees to walk away from working years earlier than everyone else. And here's the surprising part. It's not just about having a big investment account. I've seen people with $600,000 retire early in their 50s, while others with $3 million still couldn't make the leap. Some of these strategies completely flip traditional retirement advice on its head. Retiring before 60 isn't just traditional retirement, but sooner. It's a completely different challenge with its own unique financial obstacles. And most retirement advice out there isn't designed for it. In fact, the same rules that work perfectly well for someone retiring at 65 can leave you exposed if you try to retire in your early or mid-50s. The first major hurdle is Social Security. For most Americans, those benefits don't kick in until at least 62. And if you want to wait till your full benefit, you'll have to wait even longer. Retiring at 55 means you're starting at a 7-year income gap that has to be filled entirely from your own resources. And because Social Security replaces only a portion of your pre-retirement income to begin with, you'll need an even more robust plan for those early years. The second challenge is Medicare. Health insurance doesn't magically carry over into retirement. Medicare eligibility starts at 65, which means anyone leaving the workforce early needs to bridge several years of potential expensive coverage. The third and most often overlooked challenge is accessing your own retirement savings. Your 401k and IRA accounts are designed for retirement at 59 and a half or later. Pull money out before that, and you'll usually get hit with a 10% early withdrawal penalty on top of the regular income taxes owed. For someone taking $50,000 a year, that's an extra $5,000 annually lost. Money that should be working for you, not going to the IRS in the form of penalties. Over a multi-year gap, those penalties can eat away at your wealth faster than most people realize. Put these three challenges together: no Social Security, no Medicare, and restricted access to your own retirement funds, and you can see why before 60 retirement requires a completely different playbook. It's not that it can't be done, it's that you have to design your strategy around these gaps. The retirees I've worked with who pulled it off had one thing in common. They built their plans with these hurdles in mind from day one. And before we get into exactly how they did it, I put together something that can help you start building your own plan, my free 16-page retirement workbook. It's in the description below, and it's designed to help you retire early with confidence. Inside, you'll find exercises, checklists, and planning tools that make the process much easier. Grab your copy for free and follow along as we walk through these strategies. So let's talk about the first strategy, the penalty-free withdrawal strategy. Once you understand the challenges of a limited access to your own savings before 59 and a half, the next step is figuring out how to bypass that 10% early withdrawal penalty without breaking IRS rules. This is one of the biggest breakthroughs for the before 60 retirees I've worked with. If you can crack this piece, you unlock your largest pool of assets years earlier than most people think possible. The first option is the Rule of 55. This allows you to take penalty-free withdrawals from your current employer's 401k or 403b if you leave your job in the calendar year you turn 55 or later. The critical detail here is that it only applies to the account from your most recent employer. If you've rolled over that money into an IRA before you leave, you've lost this option entirely. That's why many people approaching early retirement will delay consolidating accounts until after they've tapped into their 401k under the Rule of 55. Quick caveat is that not all companies allow this option, so check your company's employer plan description before pulling the trigger. The second option is the 72T rule, officially called substantially equal periodic payments. This lets you take penalty-free withdrawals from an IRA at any age. I'll say that again. Any age, but it comes with some major strings attached. Once you start, you must continue taking the same annual amount for at least 5 years or wait until you reach 59 and a half, whatever's longer. This rigidity means you need to plan carefully because you can't increase or decrease the amount even if your needs change. However, for someone who wants predictable income and doesn't mind the commitment, it can be a powerful bridge to 59 and a half. The third option is using Roth IRA contributions. Roth IRAs are unique because your original contribution, the money you put in after taxes, can be withdrawn at any time, at any age, completely tax-free and penalty-free. This doesn't apply to the earnings your investments have generated. Those still have restrictions. But it does mean Roth contributions can serve as a highly flexible emergency valve for funding early years of retirement without penalty. Retirees who planned ahead often built up their Roth balances specifically to create this flexibility. Here's how this can work in real life. Tom, 56, left his corporate job and instead of rolling his 401k into an IRA, kept it with his employer plan to use the rule of 55. This allowed him to take $60,000 a year penalty-free for 3 years until he reached 59 and a half. He paired this withdrawals from his taxable brokerage account and avoided touching his IRA entirely during that time. The bottom line is that accessing retirement accounts before 59 and a half is not only possible, it can be done strategically to preserve wealth and flexibility. The retirees who made it work in my analysis didn't rely on just one method. They often layered these strategies using a combination of 401k withdrawals, Roth contributions, and taxable accounts to create a smooth, penalty-free cash flow until other sources like Social Security or a pension kicked in. Once you've figured out how to access your money penalty-free, the next challenge, and often the most intimidating, is covering healthcare until Medicare begins at 65. For many early retirees, this is the single largest expense in their 50s, and it's also the one most likely to catch them off guard. When talking to clients, healthcare costs are often cited as the top 3 reason people delayed retirement, even when their investments and income look strong on paper. The first step here is understanding the price tag. Kiplinger, using smart financial data, reports that the average Affordable Care Act benchmark premium for a 55-year-old is about $867 per month, roughly $10,404 a year without subsidies. And a quick word on subsidies, those are going away for a lot of people next year because they were not continued with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. So make sure you're looking at your situation to see what you might qualify for. So how does successful retirees handle this? There are 3 main approaches, and you should look at them all before you make a decision on which one to go with. So approach number 1 is marketplace coverage under the Affordable Care Act. Many early retirees purchase plans on the ACA marketplace. This can be surprisingly affordable if you manage your taxable income carefully because subsidies are based on your modified adjusted gross income. Approach number 2, COBRA continuation coverage. COBRA lets you continue your employer health plan for up to 18 months after leaving a job, and in certain situations, such as a second qualifying event, up to 36 months. This option can be more expensive because you pay the full premium yourself, but allows you to keep the exact coverage while you are still working. For many retirees, COBRA acts as a short-term bridge, buying time to transition to a marketplace plan or until Medicare eligibility. My wife and I have personally used COBRA as I left corporate America to start my own practice. It was a great short-term solution for us as she was looking for a new job where we can get benefits again. Approach number 3 is a health savings account, otherwise known as an HSA. An HSA is one of the most tax-efficient healthcare planning tools available. Contributions are tax-deductible, growth is tax-deferred, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are tax-free, a triple tax advantage. Many early retirees I've worked with make it a point to max out their HSA every single year during their working life, then leave it invested. At retirement, those funds can be used to pay premiums, deductibles, and out-of-pocket costs during the Medicare gap years. In one example, Linda, 58, used her $100,000 HSA balance to fully cover her $13,000 annual healthcare costs for 7 years before Medicare, without touching her taxable or retirement accounts. I have a really good article that outlines the HSA shoebox strategy that takes the strategy a step further so you can count your medical bills today and take a tax-free withdrawal anytime in the future. Here's a common pitfall to avoid. One of the biggest mistakes I see is underestimating healthcare inflation. Even if premiums are stable when you first retire, they can increase 5 to 7% a year. Another mistake is failing to coordinate healthcare costs with tax planning. especially if you're doing Roth conversions or large withdrawals in those years, which can push your income up and eliminate ACA subsidies. The takeaway is this: healthcare isn't a one-line budget item in your retirement. It's a multi-year bridge you have to engineer carefully. The retirees who made before 60 retirement work didn't leave this to chance. They had a clear, cost-controlled coverage plan in place before giving their notice. Once you solve the healthcare problem, the next gap you need to bridge is income. If you retire before 60, you could face 2 to 7 years before Social Security kicks in. And even then, taking it at 62 means locking in a permanently reduced benefit. In my analysis, this gap period is where a lot of early retirement plans break down. On paper, the portfolio looks big enough, but without a sustainable income plan for those years, withdrawals can be too aggressive, market downturns can add more damage, and retirees can find themselves burning through their savings faster than they expected. The most successful before 60 retirees approach this with a layered income strategy, drawing from multiple sources rather than relying on a single account. So layer one is the taxable investment account. This is often the first stop for early retirees. Unlike the 401k or IRA, taxable accounts have no age restrictions or early withdrawal penalties. The key is to manage capital gains strategically so you're not creating a big surprise tax bill. In many cases, I've seen clients harvest gains in lower tax years or take advantage of the 0% capital gains bracket if their taxable income falls below a threshold. Another solution is creating a bond ladder that matches your spending so you know exactly where your money is going to come from. This is my preferred choice. Then you can let the rest of your portfolio grow. Layer two is part-time consulting or project work. This is more common than people think, and it serves two purposes. It reduces the draw on retirement savings and can help with the emotional transition from out of full-time work. I've worked with clients who negotiated consulting contracts with their former employers, earning enough to cover living expenses and leaving their portfolio untouched for years. For some, this also provided access to employer health benefits, solving two problems at once. So layer three is rental income and other passive income. A well-positioned rental portfolio or other passive income can provide steady cash flow during those gap years. The benefit here is predictability. Your portfolio isn't the only thing generating income, so you can weather market downturns without having to sell investments at a loss. Retirees with even modest rental income, let's say $1,500 to $2,000 per month, can significantly reduce portfolio withdrawals during their 50s, allowing more time for their investments to grow. The takeaway is simple. A solid income bridge is about flexibility and diversification. The more sources you have, the more control you have over the timing and taxation of these sources. The smoother your transition will be into the years when Social Security and Medicare take over part of that load. If the income bridge is what carries you to Social Security, the accelerated saving strategy is the fuel that makes the entire before 60 retirement journey possible. Retiring in your 50s means funding not just a 20 or 25-year horizon, but potentially a 30 or 40-year stretch. That changes the math entirely. You need more savings, better withdrawal discipline, and a higher margin for unexpected costs. For more traditional retirement planning, a savings of 20 to 25-year spending is a good rule of thumb and is enough to maintain your lifestyle. But if you're retiring before 60, you're often looking at 25 to 35 times annual expenses instead. That's because, number one, you're covering more years without Social Security, and when you do get to Social Security at 62, it's often lower because you have less credits being added during your peak earning years. Number two, you have higher healthcare costs before Medicare. And number three, inflation compounds over a longer horizon, and because you're using your portfolio to live, you're not getting that accelerated compounding you would have if you had an untouched portfolio. The retirees who pulled this off didn't just save enough, they consistently saved more during their peak earning years. These are the three core tactics I see working over and over again. So tactic one, max out all tax advantage accounts. This includes your 401k and HSA, and if you're able to do a backdoor Roth IRA, even better. The combination of tax deferral and compounding growth makes these accounts the backbone of an accelerated savings plan. Even if you plan to access some of this money early, building it up now gives you more flexibility later. Tactic number 2, eliminate debt before retirement. Every dollar of debt you carry into retirement increases the size of the portfolio you'll need to generate the same lifestyle. The most successful retirees often entered their 50s completely debt-free. No mortgage, no car payment, no personal loans. This freed up thousands of dollars a month to either save or spend on their terms. And the third tactic, build a taxable investment account alongside retirement accounts. Taxable accounts give you flexibility to access money at any time without age restrictions or penalties. In some cases, this account is the primary income source during the gap years, reducing the need to dip into tax-deferred accounts early. And did you notice how I didn't give you a magic number like you need $2 million to retire early? That's because the single most important principle is living within your means and aligning your spending with the assets you have. Wealth isn't the size of your accounts, it's the fulfilling life you can build with what you have and the joy of actually living it. A great financial plan won't guarantee a great retirement if you're not emotionally ready. I've seen people retire in their 50s with more than enough money, only to return back to work because they hadn't built a life beyond their career. Early retirement means decades without the structure, identity, and daily interaction work provides. The happiest retirees I've worked with developed hobbies, purpose-driven activities, and strong social connections before they left their jobs. Phasing into retirement through a part-time, consulting, or a sabbatical can help you test drive your new lifestyle and smooth that transition. Retiring early isn't just about leaving work, it's about creating a life you look forward to living every day. If you want to see exactly how these strategies could apply to your retirement plan, fill out the questionnaire in the description. I'll send you a free personalized video breaking down your numbers and show you the optimal way to retire before 60. Or just book a meeting right in my calendar. You only get one shot at these years, so plan them right while you still have the health and energy to enjoy them.